Hello, welcome to Eccentric Tarot, and we're going to be reading some cards today. Here, I believe we are all interconnected and that we are all linked in the universe, and we can relate to these cards and this reading today as a collective. Let's get started. So right now, we're just going to ask Holy Spirit, what should the collective know for today, for their spiritual journey and guidance. Alright, so the first card that comes out is the Sun in reverse. So basically what this is telling me, as far as you per se or the collective, that times have been hard. Things probably haven't really been going your way, or the things that you have put in order or have tried to get in order hasn't really gone your way. And that you could be dealing with some hard times, some temporary setbacks, and things of that nature. Maybe just having unrealistic expectations, not being patient enough for your manifestations to come in. So yeah, the Sun in reverse represents thinking that your success is not in reach. So this is basically giving me that certain things, certain situations, relationships aren't probably going exactly the way you planned, but Spirit is telling me that hold on a little bit longer. Things will subside or get better. And so we're going to clarify the Sun and get some more information. And we do have a card here, and basically it's the Devil. So the Devil represents toxicity. It could represent people in your energy that's toxic, jobs or habits. Okay, so Spirit's basically telling me, in order for you to continue to avoid these challenges, is that you need to basically get rid of any toxic people in your energy, okay? Or get rid of any habits or things of that nature, just so that way you can have a more prominent way of looking at things, okay, instead of negatively. So yeah, basically get rid of whatever's holding you back, as far as, like I said, people, addictions, and things of that nature, okay? So, Spirit, give us a clarification for the Sun and Devil, and some type of guidance to get out of this funk that we're in as a collective, or just as per se you and me reading this personal reading for you, okay? In the collective, you know, or however. All right, so you got the Empress in reverse. So the Empress in reverse is someone that is not very nice. Let's say that. Not very nice, not very nurturing, not very sorry about that. Okay, so the Empress in reverse indicates an imbalance, nurturing, an imbalance in nurturing and creative energies. So basically, the Empress in reverse is telling me that you're not feeling very creative, that these negative things that are in your energies are creating creative blocks. Sometimes as a overbearing or controlling energy. So there could be somebody in your energy that's overbearing and controlling. It could be self-neglect. You suppressing a lot of your emotions. You are neglecting your spiritual needs because you are overly focused on others. So you're overly focused on either a certain situation, a person, a place, or thing, and it's basically stopping your creative juices, and it's studying your growth in relationships and personal development. So a lot of the times we get into these energies thinking that we're doing something right, but unfortunately we end up neglecting ourselves, neglecting certain situations, and not really giving ourselves the permission to be happy, and giving ourselves the permission to cut certain energies off that are no longer serving us. Okay, so basically what Spirit's telling me is that you're stunting your creative growth because of certain toxicities in your life that you feel are important, which are no longer serving you. And you continue to keep on this hamster wheel. As I said a lot in my other readings, because I'm picking up the same thing, basically, for the collective, that you need to change. Your spirituality is calling you. God really wants to show you, or source or the universe wants to show you how much you are appreciated, but you have to see it in yourself before the universe can grant you the things that you want and desire. Because if you don't see it within yourself, then you're not going to be able to maintain his blessings. Okay, so we have the Page of Cups. And you are this Page of Cups. You are somebody that's a leader. You are somebody that is very goal-oriented. You are a go-getter. You know how to pick up and get things started. And you have great intuition. You know, you're very creative. You're emotionally open to others. You're very playful. You have a sense of your inner child. You're able to connect with your inner child, and you bring others joys, and you bring others opportunity. So, really, God wants you, universe or source wants you to get into this energy more. Leave these toxic situations behind. Like I said, whether it's person, place, or thing, and be able to come into yourself, your creativity, your own personal light that you have to water, so that way it can shine and people can see it, and people can take you more seriously and respect you more as a person, you know, instead of using you for whatever benefits them. Or you could be the person that's using people in this energy, and Spirit is basically saying you need to get out of this. You know, you need to get out of this overly focus on others and depending on others, and start focusing on yourself. Okay, self-love is very important, especially when you have a lot of people around you that are relying on you in your light, whether it just be, it doesn't have to be financially, it could just be your presence. You know, you might brighten up the room every time you come, you know, around certain people. You might show them love that maybe they've never really encountered before. So, you know, we don't want your gifts, and, you know, as I'm saying, we, Spirit, and me as the messenger, you know, we don't want you to cling on to something toxic when you are of high value. okay? So it's just like, you know, throwing a diamond away in the trash, you know, treating it as if it was no value. But of course, a diamond is very high value, and it doesn't belong in the trash. It doesn't belong with toxins, or in this case, as a metaphor, toxic people. So yeah, you don't want to incline yourself with that when you have a calling on your life, okay? So we're going to clarify this Page of Cups and see, you know, ask Spirit, what are the things that we can do to be more self-improving, more goal-oriented. Basically what I'm getting anyways, that is just the toxicity of it all. Habits, could be drinking, drugs, even smoking cigarettes, you know, all of those things have some type of, you know, energy blockage when it comes to it, you know. And sometimes we have to reset our lives so that way we can cleanse ourselves from certain energies, okay? Okay, so the next card that we have is the Emperor. So the Emperor basically gives me the same as, a little bit as the Page of Cups, but a little bit different. You know, like I said, goal-oriented, a leader, very precise on what you want in your life as a person, okay? And yeah, it just symbolizes leadership, discipline, authority. It could be a father figure type of energy that takes charge, or you know, some type of leadership is what the Emperor represents. It also represents significant success, being successful. So yeah, what I'm getting from this is that once you leave all of these toxic situations, even the past sometimes might subliminally trigger us, excuse my language if I pronounced that wrong, subliminally trigger us, and it's basically like a energy that that's hidden, that maybe we suppressed, and it bothers us, you know, if we get triggered, or if somebody says a certain type of thing, or however, you know, that energy just comes back around, and it creates this atmosphere of toxicity. And sometimes we're not even sure of it, you know. We could be triggered by multiple things. Say for instance, a lover, if you have or you have trust issues, or you're insecure, and maybe you had got cheated on in the past, and the lover, you know, says he's going out of town, and you don't trust him, and it's triggering you to react in a certain type of way. So that's what I mean by that, you know what I mean? Subliminally, excuse me, getting tongue-tied, okay. Being suppressed triggers. I'm getting that also. I'm also getting that there could be someone that could help you on this journey, that's more of a has a authority, or a authority figure, that can help you with your dream, that can you know, bring you to the forefront of your goals, instead of always feeling like you're being set back. But I feel that Spirit won't allow you to access these resources unless you get rid of whatever this is. So like I said, person, place, or thing. Could be a husband, could be a job, could be you mentally being traumatized from your past. So it could be a multiple of things. And then with this also, the Emperor gives me that you are a leader. You know, you are trying to get from the Page of Cups to the Emperor, you know what I mean? You're on your way, but it's like I said, these blockages are kind of holding you back. And I think that you know this. I think that you are coming out of this, you know, because you do come up as the Emperor and the Page of Cups, or it could be read as someone's coming in to help you or motivate you within your goals and your aspirations. Okay. All right, we're going to clarify the Emperor a little more just to see what we get, see if Spirit has any more guidance that we should pick up on today. Okay, so the Two of Wands. So the Two of Wands is basically giving me things not working out. Your manifestations are not working out due to this toxic energy or a toxic person, place, or thing in your life that you're not willing to let go just quite yet. And it's hard. It's hard to practice detachment sometimes. You know, we don't want to let go because we're so familiar with these people or places or things. This is all we know, and it's scary. You know, change can be scary. You know, quitting our jobs that we've been for 30 years, or, you know, telling a partner, a narcissistic partner, that you don't want to, you know, have any dealings with them anymore. And that could be hurtful, you know. Or you could be this narcissistic partner that don't want change and don't know how to change, and you're feeling stuck. You're feeling, you know, fear of change, and you're obsessively you know, thinking about your future, where you're going to end up. And Spirit is basically saying, like, you don't have to do that anymore. You know, let go and let God, let go and let the universe or divine timing, you know, figure those obstacles out, because that's what the universe is here for. You know, we could be goal oriented. We could, you know, go after everything that we want and, you know, have tunnel vision for it. But if the energies within us are not right, it's either not going to pick up any momentum or it's not going to last long. Okay, so that's the point of being spiritually inclined within self, because, you know, once I do go after, you know, my goals, I feel good about it. I don't feel stressed. I don't feel like it's, you know, time's running out. I don't feel like I don't feel anxious or, you know, have lack of foresight of my goals. I feel good about it. I feel, you know, passionate. And, you know, those energies can take you a long way as far as feeling good about what you're doing instead of doing it in survival mode. Okay, so that's basically what the Two of Wands is telling us. You need to get out of feeling stuck. You need to get out of the fear of change, because if you want change so bad, you want to become this emperor, or you want to meet these resources, then, or you want to have these resources, then you can't bring this energy along with you. It's not going to work. You know, you know, prioritizing or putting things ahead of your needs is not going to get you where you want to be. Okay, because this is how you're feeling, but this is what you want, and Spirit is telling me you have to come out of this stuck energy. Okay, or feeling indecisive about exactly what you want in life, because if, you know, you're telling God all these things that you want and you're being indecisive about it, or you're not living that life or manifesting that life, and you're still feeling like, oh, I'm non-deserving, or oh, I have this, or I don't have education, or I don't, you know, you're making these excuses for yourself, when all you have to do is just let this toxicity go and be the person that you want to be. Okay, so we'll clarify that more. Okay, so we'll clarify. So Spirit, what can get us as a collective to this energy? Okay, so yeah, you got to come out of the Two of Swords. You got to stop self-sabotaging yourself. You got to stop, you know, making excuses for other people and how they're treating you. You know, everybody deserves respect. Everybody deserves love. No one deserves someone mistreating them or manipulating them or lying to them to get what they want. You know, they're not they're not having your best interests at heart when it comes to your self-love or, you know, your self-dedication. And yeah, you can't let people, places, or things keep confusing you. You can't let people, places, or things get you stuck in difficult situations because they're manipulating you or making you feel, you know, inadequate. And you have to stop being overly focused on what other people are doing, okay? We are all different people, you know. There are some people that are highly intelligent. There are well speakers, you know. I'm on the journey of trying to, you know, be able to elaborate my words and be able to get them out so that people can be able to understand what I'm trying to say. So we all have shortcomings, you know what I mean? And the shortcomings is that, sorry about that. The shortcomings is that you're not seeing the full picture, okay? You're focusing on, oh my God, she has a nursing degree. Oh my God, he's a lawyer. Oh my God, she's married. Oh my God, he's this big time business owner or whatever. I don't have these things. Okay, you may not have those things. You may do have those things. But that is not for somebody else, you know. You're not supposed to be looking at somebody else's grass, okay? You look at your own grass. You look at your own self and your improvements and what works for you. Everything that works for somebody might not work for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Just an example, you know, I have friends that, you know, one friend, she worked hard all her life. She's in school, you know, she's making a lot of money, but she's never been married. Then I have another friend that's been married all her life, has no education, and her husband takes care of her, and, you know, she has everything she needs. So those are two different situations that can't really be compared, you know what I mean? And sometimes people will go and look at certain aspects of other people's lives and see, you know, oh, I don't have that, but they have that. Okay, you can be inspired to get that, but you have to do it in your way. You know, everybody's different. Everybody's not going to be the same or fall in love, you know, in high school, or, you know, some people get married at 50, you know, some people get married at 80 or however, you know. So you can't really compare your life to somebody else's experience, okay? We all have our own breath to breathe, our own minds, and our experience is ours. You know, we can't compare or try to, you know, mimic somebody else's life, because it's not going to be, first of all, it's not going to totally pan out the way somebody else's life has, and the feeling is not authentic. You know what I'm saying? It just feels more of like a competition thing, and sometimes there is no competition. You're only setting yourself up for failure, especially if the other person is not taking it as a competition. Okay. So all of these things can mean what I just said. You know, toxic situation, place or thing, person or people. Okay, so we're going to clarify these cards with Spirit and see if Spirit has any other guidance that they would like for us to share today. Okay, to share with each other, to share as a collective. Certain things that we can relate to and certain things we can't relate to in tarot. But the things that we can relate to and the messages that we do get, or sometimes we relate to everything, you know, everything that was that Spirit wants us to know today. Okay, so the Hermit basically says you're in solitude right now. You know, you're on the verge of cutting all these toxicities off. You're on the verge of coming into this Emperor energy, and this message here is basically your confirmation to push through. You know what I'm saying? To push through the hard times, to push through the setbacks, and to push through the negative people that's in your life as well. Or if it's the other way around, it's pushing you to be a better person, to become that Emperor or that Page of Cups that you've always seen yourself as, instead of being in a toxic relationship, job, energy, or whatever, or doing things toxic to others to get ahead. So once you come out of that, I feel like you will be able to breathe a lot easier, you know. And you're seeking inner wisdom, and that's the beauty of it all. You're seeking inner wisdom. You're feeling spirit nudge you to these changes that sometimes can be fearful, sometimes can be scary, because like I said, you know, we become accustomed to being familiar with certain people, places, or things, and we don't know how to release those things because that's all we know. But once we step out and just shed all of that energy away, all of that expectation of what somebody else want you to be or do or say or however, it's a big weight off your shoulders, you know. And then you'll start getting that energy back, all that energy that you put into others that didn't reciprocate, all the energy that you know, cried at nights about. You'll be able to get that back and transform that energy into your destiny, you know. But you have to get out of that, you know. And right now I feel that you are coming up on a major arcana. You're introspecting, you're in solitude, you're seeking your inner wisdom, you're getting more deeper into spirituality. You're not just basically going off of what people tell you about spirituality. And you're just making your own way, you know what I mean? And you're getting away from these, like I said, toxic energies that really deplete you, okay? So, the Hermit, I'm sorry. We're on a Hermit. And so, yeah, so the Hermit entails all of that, okay? It tells that you are seeking spiritual guidance. And that's what we're here today. And that's why we're here today, for your spiritual guidance and for you to feel better about yourself, to feel more empowered, more motivated to do, you know, what's right for you. Okay. All right, we're going to get a couple more cards before we close this reading out. Any more final cards you want to give us, Spirit, before we close this beautiful reading out that you gave for us today? Excuse me. And yeah, so we get these challenging times, but as long as you don't let the challenging times, you know, get the best of you, or you stay in that energy, then you're able to succeed and have the confidence to do it. You know, confidence is a skill, you know. Some people, you know, we lose it. We lose it during childhood. We can lose it through different relationships in our lives. So that confidence has to be restored. And you have it in you. It's just hidden under toxicity. Toxic triggers and things that you buried inside of you. That needs to be released. And it don't have to be necessarily through telling someone or whatever. You can have a journal, release it through there. You can cry about it. That particular attention on that particular toxic situation you're going through will release in tears or in anger or whatever, you know, or a therapist. However, whatever you can do to get out of that funk is definitely recommended through Spirit, okay? So we have the Nine of Swords in reverse. So Nine of Swords in reverse gives me, of course, coming out of toxicity. You've been through a lot with people backstabbing you, making fun of you, talking about you behind your back. You're very inclined. Spirit's giving me that you're very inclined, and you can sense when someone's talking. You can sense when someone's talking about you without you even being in the room. That's how powerful you are. You also have, you might be a reader, you might be a card reader as well, or you might want to take the journey of getting more into tarot for yourself. You can also be coming out of a bad relationship. Could be a bad relationship that you're coming out of that's making you feel kind of wishy-washy about a new beginning, with someone else, or maybe just a new beginning in general. So it gives me all of that. And basically what Spirit is telling you is that you need to be more self-reliant. You know, you can't be dependent on other people to make you happy. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep nurturing relationships that stab you in the back. And what I'm getting here is it's been multiple people stabbing you in the back. It's been, you know, multiple situations that haven't been going your way. You know what I mean? It could be with family, like I said, person, place, or thing. I don't want to keep repeating that, but just letting you get a good glance of what Spirit is trying to tell you, okay? So yeah, and I feel that because of this, you've been in isolation. Because of all these heartbreaks and disappointments, you've been in isolation and trying to really figure out where to go, you know, next. You know what I'm saying? And this is a good thing. You know, being a hermit is not always a bad thing. You know, sometimes, you know, being a hermit can mean, okay, you're isolating yourself. You're not really trying to bring in more connections within or whatever, as far as relationships or however. So yeah, that's what this is giving me. But this is not giving me that you're doing that. What it's giving me is that you are taking the time to love on yourself and to kind of get some clarity about, you know, where to place other people and things in your life, so that way you can, you know, strive and be more happier within your situation instead of always giving. You know, you got to give to yourself. You got to give to yourself to give to others, okay? Because if you don't give to yourself, you really don't have much to give. All right, last card to clarify this reading. Spirit, Holy Spirit, thank you for your presence today and guiding the collective as well as myself into the right direction spiritually, okay? And I want to thank you all for supporting me and coming on this spiritual journey with me. I definitely appreciate it, okay? So the last card we'll get, okay, so yeah, the Queen of Swords and the Three of Cups in reverse, okay? So the Queen of Swords is fighting back. You know, she's not going down without a fight. You know what I mean? She has charisma, you know, passion. He or she, I'm sorry, because these cards or this reading is genderless. So whichever you are, just make it fit. So yeah, you're creative, you're independent. You know what I'm saying? You inspire others, okay? You inspire people. You vibrate at a very high vibration, okay? And the people that's around you, they don't, okay? You got the Three of Cups upside down. Could be three people specifically. Could be three situations specifically that maybe you need to let go. Yeah, and these people or places or things they don't see your vision. They're trying to pull you down so you won't get into this Emperor and the Three of Cups, which is your energy. These people, places, or things are trying to deny you from who you are, trying to dilute from what you stand for, okay? And Spirit's telling me it's time to let go. You know, you're very intuitive. You could be a psychic. You know, you might have some psychic qualities within you, or you might be very intuitive when it comes to reading energies. When you come around certain people, you can tell the vibes. They're not hiding anything from you. You could tell the vibes. You could tell when someone's talking about you behind your back. You could tell when somebody, you know, being shady or trying to get you to feel, you know, obsolete, or trying to get you to be jealous of them, you know. So yeah, so all of these things, you know, that plays a big part in people's energy. And I guess because we're so you know, fixated on trying to please others and keep our certain image, that we lose ourselves. You know, we lose ourselves. We lose who we are, the creativeness within us. And, you know, people take advantage of that, and they'll try to steal your energy. You know, they'll put you on the lowest totem pole of life, and then take your ideas and live the life that you decided, you know, or maybe you told, or however, or they just see it in you, and just try to take your identity, you know, try to take your whole life goals and aspiration, and they're, you know, they don't care. They're empty shells. They don't have any, you know, solid original identity or authenticness, and they take it from other people. And, you know, do they live happy lives? Majority of them don't, because that's not what they really truly wanted. They was just in competition with somebody else or family or however, and, you know, they find themselves in a hole they can't get out of, because they weren't prepared, because they were so busy, you know, gossiping, talking, being jealous, and not really being authentic within. Okay. Yeah, so I feel like you are trying to cut the overindulging in things out. I mean, you are feeling a little lonely, but it's a good thing, you know. It's a good thing. You need to stay away from these toxic situations in order to get your momentum back and to breathe a little easier. You know, you don't need 1,000 people telling you what you should and shouldn't do. And, you know, that's, I mean, you're an adult. I'm assuming that the collective and most people that's looking at this video are adult, at least 18 and up, and are able to distinguish when people aren't being authentic to them, okay? And not having any attachments, you know, not having any attachments to people, because the more you have attachments to people, the more you're going to be disappointed, unfortunately. You know, people are here to make mistakes. That's how we learn. That's how we get better. And to put your happiness into something that might not work out, or may see you differently, person, place, or thing, or thing as being habits that's not serving you, could definitely take a toll. So, with that being said, I hope this reading has gave you some type of guidance today. I appreciate you for checking me out, actually cooking and liking and subscribing to my channel. I also want to thank the collective for taking this spiritual journey with me. It's not easy. A lot of people assume, speculate, blase, but we're not here for any negative reasons. We're here for the guidance of the universe and our ancestors and the Holy Spirit, okay? All right, thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Love and light.